Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you're not a frequent visitor, in this video we're just gonna go with what's in my bag. I was just going to go with a casual what's in my bag, but since I just went to a wedding this past weekend and I have my stuff already packed, I thought why not just talk about what I brought to the wedding. I felt a little apprehensive about what gear I should bring. Usually I go to a wedding with like the minimalist setup because one, I didn't know what I was doing and I just shot whatever caught my eye. Two, I shot for free and I usually had like a camera lens, gimbal, and extra batteries, and I never really considered other things that I would need to buy. But anyway, since those weddings, I've since upgraded to Pelican cases, and for the most part the main difference between the gear that I used then and the gear that I use now is that this was good for traveling and that I was able to go ahead and fly to Chicago. The weddings that I've done before have been local here to New Jersey, and since these weddings I've since upgraded my audio and my lighting gear. Alright, let's begin from the biggest to the smallest. Before I open what's in the case, I just want to go over locks. I had these locks on this initially, but I've lost them and I had an extra pair of these, so I used these. This was a bad idea because when I checked this piece of luggage in, by the time that it arrived at Chicago, I noticed that the locks were off. And like when you look at it here, I mean, it's not really much of any wiggle room, and probably when they just toss it onto the airplane. No key, no unlock code needed, it just needed brute force to just snap these off. So when I got to Chicago airport, I bought these, and these stayed on coming back, and I'll just use them again in the future and not lose these. All right. Okay, first thing. What do you call these? Travel cubes? Anyway, this one's from Peak Design. I originally got this thing because of the Peak Design travel bag, the 40-liter one. I've since sold that since now I'm using the 30-liter everyday backpack. But I liked this so much that I just decided to keep it. I packed like 4 shirts, probably like 5 underwears, 5 pairs of socks, 1 dress pants, 1 shorts. Yeah. I mean, I was there for like 3 full days. I like how this thing expands and also compresses. And I also like how it has like a clean side and a dirty side. And if you're a nurse like me, or if you're in the medical field, maybe that's just something that appeals to you. It's just one less bag to carry. It's all just self-contained. And easy access. Well, no more clothes. All right. Next, audio stuff. So this looks pretty similar to the tech pouch that Peak Design also makes. This is an alternative that I found on Amazon, maybe for like $10, $20 less than the Peak Design version. And I just put all my audio stuff in here. If you ask me if I ever really opened any of this stuff or needed to use any of this stuff, no. Probably looking to the future, I would probably get rid of most of the stuff in here. Same thing with this. This thing was influenced by Craig Adams when he used to do wedding films. I have multiple cables in here just in case I should need one, and I have extra ones just in case that wire goes bad. Yeah, I went a little crazy. Definitely didn't need all of this. And I'll show you my other equipment that I actually winded up using that, because I had 3 sources of audio at least for the ceremony. Okay, sticks. These are like 7 foot GVM light stands. I like these because they actually fit in here. There are some other light stands that I bought for like that originally came with my backdrop set when I first started out. Those didn't fit in here. And I actually bought like this to help extend it up to 9 feet. I couldn't even use this because I couldn't find the attachment to put these two together, and it's okay. These are the Aputure F7 lights. I was a little conscientious of whether or not this would be annoying and if it was the right height and if people would start complaining about how bright the light is. I was worrying about the height of the stand because I didn't want the light to be like blasting in people's eyes. As you can see, I don't have barn doors on here. It's not like I can manipulate the shape of the light. But fortunately, nobody complained. This light I placed next to the DJ, across the dance floor, across from the bride and groom. It hardly even touched them. But once they made their way to the dance floor, like you can see that subtle hint of light there that kind of helped shape the subject. I thought I was going to regret not buying like a nice 60-watt light to help shape with barn doors, but 2 of these really helped do the job. And I'm glad that I brought these. Maybe moving into the future, if I do consider to do wedding films, maybe I will still upgrade to like some 60-watt light. And if I ditch that audio gear that I didn't need, I would make more room. So again, I use the Aputure F7 lights. Unfortunately, I couldn't control these with remote control, and I had to do it manually. But it's okay, we made the most of what we got. Just set it and forget it. I use a Peak Design pouch. I just put all my little stuff in here. Like here's an Arc Assist plate with a Zhiyun crane attachment for my gimbal. Ball head. A friction arm. This is where I mounted my Ninja 5 monitor to dual record for my A7C since it only has 1 card slot. For my tripods that I packed in here, these are both Peak Design tripods that I use. This is the aluminum. This is the carbon fiber Peak Design tripod. Most people use monopods, but I don't film wedding films that often. And when I bought one after I used it that one time, I didn't use it ever again. So I decided, let me just use 2 tripods. I ended up only using one. And on this one, I used like a Manfrotto fluid head, which I'll show you. I packed it away in my backpack. I tried to keep this thing under 50 pounds. But yeah, I mean, this thing is pretty solid. It did the work, did the job. It's nice, compact, easy to pack away. This thing is fast to deploy. Yeah. Just kidding. And yeah, I just use this with my A7C. And I was filming with my A7S III on a gimbal for most of the day. Yeah, I probably would just stick to one tripod. I didn't need to bring 2. HDMI cables, USB-C cables for my Ronin S2. Here's some extra padding that I thought I would need. Because my strategy was I would check in all like my hardwares that didn't have batteries in here, no problem. But I didn't want to bring 2 separate Pelican cases to the wedding. Like when I was going around all day, I just wanted to have one of these and a backpack. So when I got where I needed to stay, I ended up reorganizing my whole suitcases all over again so I could pack everything that I needed is essential for the wedding day. And then of course the night before I left, I had to repackage them all over again. So that's what this stuff is for, it's just extra padding. This is neat. I use this for my camera lens. So this would go to the camera lens itself with the body. And then here I put my ND filter. So whenever I was shooting outdoors, I would just put that on. And when I would go back outside, just flip it on top because I don't need this for indoors. This one's by U-Rig. That came in handy because I just didn't want to fiddle around with screwing on filters back and forth. Moving on, we have our DJI RS2 gimbal. I originally got this bigger size because I was using a Blackmagic Cinema camera prior. Now that I'm not, this is a little overkill. I would get away with just using smaller gimbals like the RSC2 would be perfectly fine. Yeah, I'm not too sure if I could have lasted the whole day with this. It says, I believe this thing has like a battery life of like 7 hours. Oh, it lasts up to 12 hours. I started my day at like 6, so I really wasn't sure. 12 hours, bala? That's fine. I was even plugging my fast charger on this. So I put the top of the gimbal here, but I put the battery in my other baggage. But yeah, this thing was a workhorse. I stuck my 24-70 in here, balanced it at like 40 millimeters, and I just zoomed in and out whenever I needed. It was fine, perfect. So this thing by Etixity, this thing is able to help measure how much your baggage weighs. So this thing you would latch onto your handles of your baggage and you would pull on it or at least hold on to it and see how much it weighs. So you effectively have a scale wherever you go. Max is 50 kilos or 110 pounds. So this is perfect for weighing your travel bags. All right. Okay, this is heavier. I hope this isn't dragging on. This video might feel a little too long. But if you're getting value from this video, let me know. Drop a like down below or leave a comment. Yeah, this is the Aputure MC light. This is RGB, has all the lighting effects, came with a diffuser, and you can manipulate this through an app. It also has magnets on the back, so in case you want to stick it anywhere. But when I tried to do things like ring shots or what have you, there was nowhere that was magnetic. It was a little annoying. And just when I thought that I just have to keep upgrading my camera gear, well, upgrading your lighting gear, or even having lighting gear is also important, even if it just gives it that little sparkle that you need. So this came in clutch. Shout out to my friend Moz, because his video was the last video that convinced me to get this little guy. Thank you. All right, one of the last minute purchases that I ended up getting was a wireless Go 2 by Rode. So I wasn't really into the whole Rode One, and I don't really use this stuff often. Very handy. It's like a little small set. I had to buy the lab separate, but it's still worth it. I just stick this receiver on the camera, and then these things will just sync up to it nice and easy. And even if it disconnects, these also record independently of the receiver. So when I stuck this on the groom, I stuck this on the officiant, it was already recording as soon as it was turned on. And then when I just turned on the video, it just went. It was recording here, but also recording on the receiver. Sounds like a no-brainer to me. Before I was going the Craig Adams like OG way by using like these Zoom H1s. This one I bought used, this one I definitely want to get rid of. And I only have one of these. For the price of 2 of these and 2 labs, you can pretty much afford this whole set. Lighter footprint and redundancy versus 1 track. And these things are great, but I much prefer these. I don't remember vlogging. I'm just gonna put this away. Got batteries here. If they need charging, I'll leave it in this layout. If they are charged, I have them numbered, so I know which one of these to actually get. The wedding day, I used 5 of the 6 batteries, and I'm using an A7C and an A7S III. So by the end of the night, I was just using 1 camera. At that point, it was dancing. I also have the Sony 55mm, which I didn't use. I kind of wish I used it more, but it's okay. 50 is my favorite focal length, but I tend to use zooms a lot more. I also pack in my other batteries in here, my Sony MPF batteries. Peak Design straps. This one is the leash. I thought I would use this more. I didn't. I use this like half of the day. So when I have my full setup for my RS2, I would use this sling and attach it to the anchor points that I have on my RS2, and then not have to worry about it and just carry it around like this. And then this wasn't so bad because I didn't have to worry about holding it so much. But for most of the time, I was just carrying it like this the whole day. So my arms got really stiff real fast. We'll see moving forward. And I brought 2 monitors. I thought I would use this Andy Cine one for the gimbal, it's just so I would have a bigger screen of when I was going to record. I need to use it. And then I use this Ninja 5 recorder. I used it with a hard drive, 1 terabyte. Wasn't enough to last the whole day. I recorded the ceremony and some of the reception. It was just to serve as a dual recording since the A7C only has 1 card slot. Boom. But to be honest, I would rather just have one, but I would rather have a Sony body with dual card slots rather than having to use this Ninja 5. Like, this thing is nice and it's powerful, but what I was using it for is a little overkill. I would like to go with a simpler setup moving forward. I also got this G drive specifically for backing up. At the end of the night, I backed up the wedding footage to this, my Samsung SSD 2 terabyte, and I also recorded it, and I also backed it up to my 2 terabytes worth on my MacBook Pro. God forbid anything should happen to any of them, but at least I would have redundancy. And I did not delete anything off the cards yet. So really there's 4 places where I could find all the footage. Wouldn't want to explain to the client why their footage was never edited. This is great for charging, but since most of my stuff relies on USB, I really needed more USB ports. I really didn't need any of this. My MacBook Pro, you can power it through USB-C. Another thing that I have here is my memory cards. I did not use all of them because I was using dual card slots with the one A7C. I only use like half of these. I bought most of these on Black Friday, and then I upgraded again because I got the A7S III. But yeah. And last but not least, I got this H6, Zoom H6, thinking that I would eventually get into podcasting. That has yet to be seen. This came in clutch when I was able to record the audio that was going out of the DJ speaker. I didn't even have to touch a soundboard. So that was awesome. Okay, last but not least, the backpack. Okay, here's a tripod head that I had. There's an attachment here that I could have used with the friction arm and attached the Ninja. Sorry, I didn't realize my external audio device died out, so I'll just wrap up this video with this voiceover. This I use on my Peak Design tripod. I placed my Sony A7C on this tripod with the Atomos Ninja V. I think my setup was a little too heavy because eventually the tripod legs start to give out and start retracting throughout the ceremony and reception. Definitely going for a more minimal and lighter setup moving forward. Got some drone batteries here. I probably use 1.5 of these of the 3 that I have. And then of course the drone itself, the DJI Mavic 2 Pro, the version with the 1-inch sensor. I use this for establishing shots for the venues and out in the field for all the group nature photos and videos. I did get my drone license just to fly this, and fortunately I didn't have any trouble flying around the venues. Next up, Peak Design Tech Pouch. Here's a filter case where I kept my ND filters, which are practically adjustable sunglasses for your lenses. I kept most of my wires, some batteries, and last but not least, here's my Sony A7C. This was the second camera, the backup camera, the B camera. For everyday use, it's great. Personally, for my own comfort, I wish this had 2 card slots for redundancy, but I picked this up for the purpose of unlimited record time. This camera I used for the back of the room for the ceremony, and in one of the corners of the dance floor for the reception. And that wraps it up. Thank you very much for watching. If this is something you're interested in seeing more of in the future with Gear Talk, let me know. In the meantime, I'll catch you in the next video.